We are 11 minutes. Thank you so much, Mr. Abel, the chief organizer of this session. And I want to take this opportunity to greet you all and appreciate you for having spared time to be part of this conversation this evening. My name is Mugumya Ivan Michwemirungi, as earlier introduced through the circulars and flyers that we are passing by. I'm privileged to be part of the Environmental Health Workers Association of Uganda, and also being known to most of you, colleagues in this profession. Before you is someone that has been in environmental health practice for some time. And in my practice, I've also endeavored to attain continuous education. As per that slide, you can see the number of academic endeavors. I'm currently a PhD student in South Africa doing environmental health at Nelson Mandela University. And of late, I've also finished the postgraduate diploma in medical education and several other achievements as posted there. That's not very important, but just to say today's conversation, it's about private practice of environmental health workers, and we shall be discussing how best we can prepare ourselves to be employable in the private sector. Personally, I've been there. I've done quite a lot. I've never been employed with the local government or central government, but nevertheless, God is supplying sufficiently here in the private sector. So we felt, together with the team, that it's important to share experiences of how best some of us have been successful in the private sector, and you will be able to appreciate some facts as we move forward. I've worked as a medical lab technician before. That was my entry point as a career person, because I first did medical lab before I channeled into environmental health. And I've worked as a hospital administrator in South Sudan before. I've worked with the Uganda Red Cross Society before, where I was a health officer in charge of the refugee operations in a Juman district. I've worked as the quality, environment, health, and safety manager for Green Label Services Limited, which is a hazardous waste management company. I've been a public health specialist for the same organization, but specifically they are deployed in the infrastructure projects. That should be UNRA, Uganda National Roads Authority, where I've managed occupational health and safety, GBV, HIV, and child protection projects. And as we shall discuss later, I was able to support the establishment of the Alliance for Community Health Initiative, which is an NGO, under which I've served as executive secretary, and have been able to win grants for JCRC, grants with URC, PACE, KCCA, UNRA. All these projects, you find that you are able to initiate the process through proposal writing. You are able to write grants, and once you win them, you implement such projects. And that's one way how we can also be employed in that sector. As an associate consultant and lecturer for Kabale University, I've made a contribution to our profession profoundly. I've also as a lecturer and program coordinator at Cavendish University, where I've equally contributed in teaching bachelor's students of environmental health, MPH, and the advanced diploma in health leadership and management. And also I've made a contribution as a lecturer with Mildmay Institute of Health Sciences, where we teach certificate holders, diploma holders in environmental health science, and also several professional short courses. All this has kept me busy, and I think it's possible for any of us to also target a number of institutions and organizations, because these are just a drop in an ocean. There are many, many opportunities out there, and that's what we want to discuss. But even before we go that far, today it's also important to remember that we are commemorating the World Environmental Health Day under the theme Environmental Health, Creating Resilient Communities Through Disaster Risk Reduction and Climate Change Mitigation and Adaptation. As we know, environmental health as a profession, it contributes to a number of fields that directly or indirectly address climate change and disaster risk impacts. We all also want to believe that as environmental health practitioners, our cardinal role is to address the physical, chemical, and biological factors which are external to a person and all other factors that impact behaviors of individuals, which behavior, of course, guide how we interact with our communities, our society, our environment. It also, this profession encompasses the assessment and control of those environmental factors that can potentially affect health. For sure, some people here may not be so much in the know of how environmental health contributes, but in case they are there, from here we know that our input is at that point, managing factors that can influence human behavior and environment. Sorry. Okay. That said, colleagues, you can imagine the kind of work we have, given that we are at the interface of the environment, humans, and the environment, trying to harness that One Health approach. Diseases that affect our people are in our control in a number of ways. And these statistics projected here are just to show you a few of those diseases that our people are suffering from, for which we continually make a contribution to, diseases, malaria, UTIs, gastrointestinal tract infections, name it. All these are the daily disease burdens that our communities really suffer and battle. Getting cancer, non-communicable diseases, which are
sorry, we have lost him, but let me see if we can chase for him. Mugumya, can you unmute?
Okay, sorry. Someone interrupted my network. Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
And is my screen still shared?
Yes, it is on health status.
Oh, okay, thank you. I think that's the point where you lost me from.
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to say that we have a number of diseases which we battle with on a daily, and environmental health has a critical role to play right there. We all agree that communicable diseases, non-communicable diseases like cancers, hypertension, and of course diabetes and several others are such a burden for which we must mitigate. Friends, with that, it is clear that if our cardinal responsibility is disease prevention and control, at whichever level, whether at a ministry level, local government level, name it, equally in the private sector, we have these responsibilities. There are a number of organizations, there are a number of companies that are actually mitigating these community and societal burdens on a daily. The same way how within the mainstream health service delivery, government-aided institutions, we have environmental health workers at all levels, from bachelor's, master's, certificate. People are busy doing great work right there. But there is a way how our cadres have really not focused so much to the private sector to also tap the same responsibilities right there. And as a result, a vacuum has continued to exist. So that is the reason as to why we want to have this conversation. Could it be that our colleagues are not aware of these opportunities? But in my experience, I will definitely share a few things that I know to be very key if we are to tap these opportunities in the private sector. Most of us indeed know that the environmental health field has opportunities anywhere where the key performance indicators are measured towards these fields. Disease surveillance and infectious disease outbreaks, epidemiologists, a number of organizations, international and local, are doing great work there. Are our cadres preparing themselves to tap opportunities there? Environmental pollution, whether water pollution, air pollution, soil pollution, name it. There are institutions that are actually focusing only on that. Have we penetrated such? Water hygiene and sanitation, I think here we've tried to do well. I know of a number of colleagues who are in that space. How about nutrition, occupational health and safety? I've told you I've done consultancy services with the Uganda National Health Authority for the last now 8 years, being, managing occupational health and safety, just that. And of course, those projects, you find I have a team of, let's say, 5 to 6 people that I work with on a daily basis. Those are all entry points. But even besides the consultancy, the contractors usually have additional responsibilities where they need people that have done occupational health and safety and several other trainings. So housing and health infrastructure projects, port and border control. The other time we had our senior, Mujisha here sharing with us about port health. So all these fields, colleagues, I just want to emphasize the same way how we have departments in the government dealing with all these, we have also private sector that focuses on this. But from my observation, environmental health workers have not tackled that space. And definitely, there will never be a vacuum. There are always people who are shrewd and who prepare themselves to occupy those vacuums. Not until an EH professional shows up one day, one time, and delivers past or beyond the expectations of the employers. That is quite important. Now, this issue of employability, it refers to one's ability to gain initial employment. That's one. After gaining this initial employment, maintain this employment, or even obtain new employment if required. No? So your ability to penetrate, sustain yourself in there, and captivate all the potential within you that actually you can be outsourced from wherever you are simply because of your capabilities. Some other employer is looking out for you. That translates or it resonates with this term, employability. And that's what we want to achieve. You should be able to get and keep this work. You should be able to have the skill set, the knowledge base. You should be able to have the attributes, personal attributes that make a person more likely to choose and secure occupations in which they can be satisfied and successful. We have to work around these things. As an occupation, I want to say this, that yes, we are all environmental health officers, health assistants, health inspectors. But trust me, there are individuals amongst us who have polished themselves to the greatest extent possible that whoever lands on them doesn't want to leave them. It takes some effort. Not everybody will be at that point, certainly, because amongst us, there are people who got their jobs. Maybe they got an entry point as health assistants, and they have become so comfortable that they don't want to think of sharpening, skilling themselves further, etc. Now, within the private sector, once you don't have that urge to keep your skills up to date, to continually seek for knowledge, to continually work on your personal attributes, certainly you lose out. The private sector is very competitive. It is target driven. You are working against targets, key performance indicators, etc., which may not be the case. On the other hand, maybe I may be wrong. Some districts have serious supervisors that really put our cadres to task. And of late, we have seen a lot of improvement where data is being requested for centrally. And I mean, that's the way to go. But to us in the private sector, it is even quite tedious and vigorous. From what I've found out, there is a recent health labor market analysis that was done, recently published this very, last year, I think. It indicated that environmental health officers, this is the current stock of environmental health workers, or the number of environmental health workers that are registered and known by the Allied Health Professionals Council. They put the numbers to these figures: 426, 1,310, 2,633. However, especially me, who is in academia, that is training environmental health professionals year in, year out, I want to believe that actually the numbers are far higher than this. But what's the problem? Our cadres don't want to register with the Allied Health Professionals Council. Others are not members of the professional body that joins us. And because of that, we continue to trail from behind. Even where we want to push for our rights, the numbers cannot speak to that. So, when it comes to the private sector, we completely get lost. I want to assure you, if you went to the food processing industries, we would be having a lot of engagement there. But you will not find us there, because we've not deliberately shown up everywhere where we should. We are not in our professional bodies. We are not where we should go to look for the jobs. And we are seated waiting for government adverts someday, sometime. Others are in these government jobs, stuck there, no promotion. They advance up to masters, but they are earning certificate salaries, and they remain stuck there. I've told my students severally that we must change that. Let's penetrate these steel rolling industries. Let's try to go out to food processing industries. Let's reach out to the, I've told you, in the infrastructure projects all over the country. But also later, we can appreciate that opportunities are not limited to our country. I've been trying to look at the data. The Ministry of Health has information on cadres that move out, who move abroad to seek for greener pastures. Who told us that we are trained for Uganda and it must be here in Uganda only? We need to breed now a generation of cadres that are very shrewd, that can actually go past the routine or what we are mostly used to. Someone is asking for a link. Sorry. So, with that said, look at this slide. The comparison of health workforce wages between public health, public and the private sector. When it comes to environmental health, unfortunately, ours environmental health officers, there is no wage in the private sector. It's not there. When it comes to health inspectors, it's not known. It could be there, but not known. That's the right word. Health assistants, somehow, theirs is known. This is money earned per year. what someone earns per year. Okay? But why these gaps in the private sector? Because we are few that have been there, even the employers in the private sector don't understand what our scale is meant to be. So everybody negotiates the way they so wish or how they can. They have their bargaining power anyway. When you look at our colleagues in the other cadres, their salary scale follows them even in the private sector, where they try to compromise it. It's not so much. Their figures, I've not just put them here, but you can easily check that report, the health labor market analysis. You will see that doctors, their salary scale in the government doesn't differ much with the private sector. But just because their critical mass is in either sectors and they can easily compare. So our failure to penetrate this private sector has also affected some of us who are there, because you labor so much to explain to your employers that actually there is a salary scale for which they are supposed to align salaries with. The difference can be there, but it shouldn't be so big. Now, having said all that, what are some of the things that I want to believe they are drivers for our cadres to be employed in the private sector? Certainly, there are things that we must do if we are to captivate the private sector and take charge of whatever opportunities that are there. One is the educational qualifications and training. From what I know, we in the academia, we are supposed to help you while you are still in training to ensure that what you are being taught is relevant, it matches the market, it matches the job market. That is our role in academia, and we should be able to continually support you right from there, because that's the incubation area. That's where we mold you from in the institutions, so that as you get out, you really, and that's the purpose of curriculum review. Institutions must review their curriculums continually to ensure that what is being taught is relevant and it matches the market demand. And you as a student, you should also aim at obtaining certifications that are in line with your career path. If you have studied environmental health at a bachelor's level, that's okay. But is that all? Maybe you need to attain specialized trainings. Specialized training in line with what you want to do, because environmental health trains many things. Personally, I'm more biased to occupational health and safety. That doesn't mean that I don't do other things, but I'm interested in anything in that area. So could there be some certifications that are in line with that occupational health? Then I should be able to look out for all specialized trainings and certifications in that line. If you are more interested in water hygiene and sanitation, don't stop at your bachelor's in environmental health. Proceed and look out for something that makes you an expert of a sort in that area. Even before doing the MPH or masters of any kind, there are some professional short courses, internationally awarded and locally awarded. We've seen such at SPH, Makerere, at Mildmay, and the other institutions that are training professional short courses. Please, that is one way how we can polish ourselves and be employable. Two, technical and soft skills. The technical competencies are very important, almost in line with what I've just mentioned earlier, but you need to pull out some proficiency in environmental monitoring, risk assessment, compliance auditing. Many, I will tell you that in the private sector, one of the things that disturbs us most is compliance. Those employers that are not compliant to regulations, they usually pay a heavy price in fines and other things. So even if it is in the food industry alone, just imagine kombucha mzuri sana, then the other day you hear and chituzi, you hear there are a lot of drinks on the market. Don't you think all these institutions require to have someone whose eye is only on observing quality, ensuring that HACCP is followed? But some of those institutions don't even know about HACCP, and no environmental health worker has walked in there. At least those who are working in at least those institutions are under some health inspectors, they are under municipalities, etc. Can our colleagues interest such, because you are the ones who supervise these institutions, can't you interest them and sensitize them that actually if you had someone of environmental health, they would help you to overcome some of these non-compliance issues in line with HACCP? Then the industry can pick interest in employing at least at a minimum a certificate holder to observe that. So there is need to really, we need to do something there. But I just wanted to say, yes, the technical competence, let us try to look out for what adds value. Can we train in environmental monitoring tools, risk assessment tools, compliance audits? There is data analysis. All these are technical, very, very technical skills that once you have them, any employer who lands on you, they will feel they've obtained what they wanted. Don't just sit with your bachelor's and your diploma and you think now you are good to go. That's one. The other one is the soft skills. Now, these ones, it's something you must equip yourself with continually. Effective communication. How do you relate with others? Emotional intelligence. The day you walk to that company, that institution in the private sector, and you cannot communicate well with the customers, certainly you are a risk, you are actually a threat to that business. I don't want to encourage that those who are in private, rather public service, they don't need these soft skills. You need them. We all need them. But they are much more demanded here in the private sector because you are killing somebody's business. If you don't know how to massage the heart of a customer, the customer must be given that fine touch. And that's the moment an employer realizes you have that soft skill, they can actually overlook certain other things. Problem solving, project management. If you are given this assignment, can you deliver it to completion? I don't know how many projects I've really executed to completion. Very many. But trust me, it has not been that someone first took me to class and taught me how to execute a project and then, then now you come and execute. No. From what we study at bachelor's level, surely you can build on that and you are there. Interpersonal skills. If you are this person who is a troublemaker everywhere you go, in the private sector, you cannot thrive. Leadership abilities, you must have all these soft skills. Of course, in the interest of time, I may not exhaust this, but I will interest you in looking out for literature that helps you to reflect on your soft skills and make sure that you do your homework there. The other aspect is work experience. Now, this is sometimes quite challenging. You've not yet started working, they want experience. Then you wonder, where do I get experience from without working? It's important for us to do everything possible to get experience. Trust me, they will ask for it, whether you've ever worked or not. Experience, everybody, every employer in the private sector wants that, because there is a way how people don't want to employ you, pay you money, and they again have a burden to train you to do what you need to do. So to you, our young professionals that have not yet obtained opportunities, it is better you start volunteering wherever you can get a voluntary placement. Keep yourself there as you look for the job. Even if it means your sponsors continuing to sponsor you so that you are able to remain volunteering, because of course voluntary work means you don't earn, but you must eat, you must be transported, you must, so there is an expense that comes in there. You need to encourage your parents, your guardians, and whoever that has supported you to wherever you are. Or if you've been supporting yourself, then you need to support yourself once more to volunteer. And when you are choosing where to volunteer, if you are able to, because sometimes you don't have choices, but if you can have a choice, decide to go to that organization that does things that are aligned with your career progress, things that you think fit well with your career path. If you are going to go and volunteer with the Mama Fina, hey, I don't know where you will write that experience somewhere one day, one time. Maybe you've seen people who have volunteered, but because wherever they've been volunteering, it is irrelevant with their career progression. When it comes to writing their CVs, they can't write, they can't account for that period. So it is also important to think, where am I going to volunteer? Because you are going to be spending your time. We've also seen that you're going to be injecting in your money, your resources, so that you can volunteer there. So let it be something that adds value. Don't just volunteer. At least when it comes to that, I really think you are better off staying home and continue searching for something better. Because when you go to volunteer irrelevantly, you will even not have the time to look for the right place to volunteer or even the work, because they will occupy you. Then internship and field work. This may come back to us who are in academia. I'm promoting this more in the institutions that I work with. We would our cadres to go and do internship, field work in places where they can also get opportunities in the private sector. Not only looking at local government as the only place where to go and you volunteer and you do internship. No, that's wrong. The only limitation is that with the private sector, we are so specific. If you went to Green Label Services Limited to volunteer, Green Label is purely a hazardous waste management company. So you may benefit more in that area, yet the training is diverse. It is far past waste management. So that's the only limitation, but it can be also mitigated. Get there, learn that, learn it well. And later on, look for where else you can volunteer or do additional internship. But when you at least know that in the private sector, you have gone to waste management, you have gone to food processing, you have also been able to go into housing, real estate. Oh my God, real estate does wonders. Colleagues who are there are millionaires right now or even billionaires because you apply a lot of skills and knowledge that you obtain from building technology, building and construction. You know all that. So if you are in real estate and you are of environmental health background, don't you think there is so much you deliver there than any other person who just went in? Maybe actually you can just compete well with engineers and surveyors. So this is an opportunity for us to explore when it comes to doing field work and internship. Another important aspect that boosts our employability in the private sector is this issue of regulatory and compliance landscape. We need to ensure that we are compliant with the local regulators. Please be licensed. It makes a huge difference. Now, take note. This goes with number 5. Job-specific demand. Job-specific demand, there are opportunities that are very specific and they usually call out for public health officer, they call for all sorts of professionals. But when you look at the job description, you really feel that you as an environmental health worker, you can deliver better on that. But they've not mentioned environmental health. Unfortunately, they don't know you. They don't know the cadres in this profession. But they need someone who actually studied what you studied. So when you look at such adverts, be encouraged always to align your CVs and make sure that you demonstrate those skill sets and apply for those jobs. Then when you reach there, that's back to number 4. So when you reach, if you are shortlisted, should you be registered with Allied Health Professionals Council? And your registration certificate is part of your academic documents, you will quickly stand out. You will be exceptional as compared to someone else, social worker public health, and other cadres who will have applied for the same job. That can quickly cause someone to know that actually this issue of regulatory compliance is very important. I encourage you to register, but also be members of your national occupation bodies. Geographical location, urban versus rural opportunities. There are many opportunities in the urban cities, municipalities, but there are also opportunities in the rural areas. Let's remain open to whichever opportunity comes our way, especially those who are entering the employment world. Please try to think of, going to the rural communities. There are opportunities that you can tap there. Regional industry clusters. Of late, they have promoted the industrial parks. So where you find a specific line of production or service gazetted in one area, that is an opportunity. Because when you penetrate such a region, 3 of you, it is very easy even to pull other cadres to such a territory, and the employers can easily recognize and feel the impact of the profession. I already told you about international opportunities. They are there. When we are able to land on some, please let's apply for such. But before I also forget here, it's important to think of what are those things we can do outside the employment. I've told you about hazardous waste management, a company that started 20 years ago. Now it is a giant in waste management. And the people who started it are not even environmental health professionals, but they are employing some of us and our colleagues in the profession. Even us, solid waste management, we have studied and seen several innovations where people are turning waste to energy and also converting waste into usable materials, construction materials, etc. These are things that we can do and make money out of them. If you are to seek for capital, maybe you can seek for guidance from experts who offer finances for businesses. That can be an area. So as we discuss this employability aspect, we should also think of self-employment as a parallel line that environmental health cadres can take, and that can be maybe a discussion for another day. Networking and professional associations, I've talked about this, maybe to re-emphasize the issue of networking. Sometimes we are too busy, we confine ourselves in our own cocoons. However, it's good to be close to colleagues. This doesn't mean that you'll be doing worokoso with your colleagues all the time, you are all over, that you are networking. No. You need time to concentrate and do work. But whenever there is an engagement, an activity of this kind, come up, be part of all professional related activities so that you keep touch with your colleagues. Membership with professional bodies, we already mentioned this. Recognition of environmental health roles. The extent to which private sector employers recognize and value the role of environmental health, it affects employability. This one, a few of us who are there, we need to ensure that our inputs are felt heavily, because it's until then that employers can actually appreciate the role of environmental health, and that attracts more recruitments into service. So that is our role. But also I encourage you guys, continue showing up for whichever opportunities that you read and feel you can do something. Show up. Let them be the one to drop your papers, but don't you limit yourself by maybe being timid or, inferiority complex of any sort. That's something that will help us to have our cadres recognized. And this is the last slide. I'm trying to monitor time. Technological advancement. We need to embrace technology. We need to embrace technology. We need to look out for tools I've seen on our professional platforms when senior colleagues from the ministry are struggling with some of you who work in local government. Please send in your data, sijui deadline, And interestingly, some people, maybe the limitation is they don't know how to use these data collection tools if they are digital, especially. We need to embrace technology. We need to be on top of our game. Anything that can support us do our work better, let's do that. There is a professional short course that we are yet to roll out, and it's called data management. Data management course, just looking at all sorts of tools that can be used for data management at different levels in the private sector. Trainings are all over. Look out for anything that improves your technological proficiency. The last is continuous learning. I know of colleagues on this call whom we have really moved steadily. If now we are to lay on table our academic achievements, you can be amazed how this has been done in a short period of time. This is a deliberate decision that you make because it has expenses attached. You invest in education, you invest and invest. It is better as a career person to seek out for all possible academic advancements when you still have a smaller family, when you still have a few resources around you to achieve that, because eventually that's what will make you competitive in the market, because people have read. For you can be there in Nakapiripiriti, busy with your work, thinking that actually everybody is stuck there. Kumbe guys are reading, adding on books, trying to seek for, not just seek for papers. That one I'm always trying to fight it among my students. Please, there is no way you are going to change yourself by just getting papers. All you need is knowledge, skills. The paper is just a paper. So that's continuous learning. It will help us to be more innovative. It will help us to be competitive and relevant at our workplaces. So in the interest of time, I think we started 11 minutes past 7, and I should stop here and allow a few questions to come through. But I appreciate the opportunity to share with you guys. I'm not sharing with you from an expert point of view, but just from what the world has taught me as a person, which I think can also make meaning and sense to you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Chair. Yeah,
Ivan,
thank you.
Ivan, you have spoken as an expert, please. I was supposed to remind you around 20 minutes ago, but I said, no, let this expert continue powering content. What I want to beg you, you please go to the first slide. I don't know whether you have your contact there. I want everyone on this call who has any questions to ask you to contact you directly, because I have to jump to the next meeting, which I am late by 6 minutes. But just help me and share your first slide. If it has your email address and telephone number, which members can contact you on, because you're very resourceful, you're very knowledgeable, you have wealth of experience. I am excited because we chose you to speak to us on this very important topic, because like you've clearly put the statistics, the private practice is something we haven't harnessed so much. And thank you for opening our eyes. Please help us to get your contacts. We would like to consult with you more and work with you more and see how to contribute in the space. Again, I want to thank the members who have come to this call. This is part of the Environmental Health Workers Association of Uganda. I am part of the executive, and the executive came up with this idea for us to keep learning and relearning. So thank you so much. This will contribute to your CPDs. The executive is organizing to have a way of having your professional cards or CPD cards signed. We will communicate in the due course. So we'll stop here, and we shall communicate when the next session will be. Thank you so much, Ivan. I want members, all of us, to take a photo of this screenshot, a photo of this first slide, and get Ivan's number. All of us, let's take a screenshot. But even our communications person will be able to share these contacts on our pages, such that we can reach out to Ivan. Ivan, do you have any closing remarks? Intentionally not allowing questions because we have short by 8 minutes. Ivan, do you have any closing remarks? Let me give you a chance to speak. Ivan, do you want to comment? Yes. Any parting shots?
Well, I think in the interest of time, I don't have much, but just to encourage everybody on this call to know that environmental health has a great future, and we are this future. We have a role to contribute. We who are in academia, we must deliberately train and ensure that our cadres who are coming out are impactful to the society. Then you whom we are churning out, you should also do your role so that we remain relevant. Otherwise, we can easily get extinct if there is no, people can't feel our contribution. So that's a dual responsibility, just to remind us. Thank you very much, Mr. Abel.
Thank you so much, Ivan, and all the best and success in all the great things you're doing. Bye-bye.